Hello, this is Jithisan P. Narayanan, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, Cochin. This is a continuation of the session, Degrees of Freedom of Kinematic Pair. And in this audio session, we will be discussing about Gribler's criterion to find the degrees of freedom of planar mechanisms. So let's start the presentation.
Mobility of mechanism. So now we will study how to find out the degree of freedom of different mechanisms. So we know that a link which is which is in a space, if you consider three mutual perpendicular axes, it can have three kinds of motion. That is, it can move about x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. As shown in the figure, you can see that this link can move about x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Also, this link can rotate about x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So in total, 3 translation and 3 rotation is possible. So 6 degrees of freedom is possible for this link in a space. When this link is connected to another link, then they form kinematic pairs and they have a relative motion between them. And when we are connecting, actually we are arresting some of the motion of these links. Okay, when they form a kinematic pair, some of the motion will be arrested. That is, motion about some of the axis or rotation about some of the axis may be arrested, may get arrested. So that is what is called constrained motion. That is, we are actually arresting the motion. We are actually constraining the motion in some of the directions. So the total degree of freedom possible for each links, sum total of the degree of freedom possible for each link minus the number of constrained motion is what is the degree of freedom of that mechanism. We have found in the previous slide how to find out the degree of freedom of kinematic pairs. In the similar fashion, we will be finding out degree of freedom for a whole mechanism. That is, we will be splitting that mechanism to different kinematic pairs. We will find out how many constrained motion are there in each kinematic pairs, and we will decrease that number of constrained motion from the total motion possible for each link, and that will give the final degree of freedom of the whole mechanism. So this equation, degree of freedom, is equal to 6 into n minus 1 minus 5p1 minus 4p2 minus 3p3 minus 2p4 minus p5 can be used to find out degree of freedom of a spatial mechanism. The first term, 6 into n minus 1, actually gives total number of degree of freedom possible for each links. Total number of degree of freedom possible for each links. That is, sum total of the degree of freedom if we consider 6 motion for each links in a three mutually perpendicular axis. Okay, so the n minus 1 is actually representing number of movable links. We know that for a mechanism there will be at least one fixed link or a fixed frame to which other links are connected. Okay, no mechanism will be flying. Okay, because the links, at least one of the link will be connected to a fixed frame in a mechanism. So if there is a fixed frame, that is considered as a rigid link or a rigid frame. Okay, that is considered as a link. So if there are 4 links in a mechanism, then one link will be a rigid link or a rigid frame. So in total, 4 minus 1, there is 3 links will be movable. So that is what is the n minus 1 term represent. That is, if there are n links in a mechanism, then n minus 1 will be the number of movable links. So if there are 4 links, then there will be 3 movable links. So we know that for a link there will be 6 motions possible, 3 translation and 3 rotation. So if there are 3 such links in a mechanism which is movable, then total degree of freedom possible for these links, if you are considering 6 degree of freedom for each link, then total degree of freedom possible is 6 into 3, which is equal to 18. Okay, so n minus 1 is 3, that is 3 movable links. So each link having 6 degree of freedom means 6 into 3, 18 degree of freedom is possible. Okay, but we know that when these links are connected to each other, we are actually constraining some of these motions. When these links are connected to each other, we are actually constraining some of the motions. So the remaining terms of this equation is actually the number of constrained motion. That is minus 5p1, minus 4p2, minus 3p3, minus 2p4, and minus 1 into p5. That is actually number of constrained motion. Okay, so 18, 6 into n minus 1, that is 18 in the example which I have given, that is 6 into n minus 1, which is 18, minus the number of constrained motion for each kinematic pairs. Okay, so P1 is actually number of kinematic pairs with single degree of freedom. P2 is number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree of freedom in that mechanism. P3 is number of kinematic pairs with 3 degree freedom, P4 number of kinematic pairs with 4 degree freedom, P5 number of kinematic pairs with 5 degree freedom in that mechanism. And why it is 5 into P1? We know that if there is a kinematic pair with 1 degree of freedom, then that means the other 5 motions are arrested. Okay, we know that 6 motions are possible in a 3 mutual propelling axis. There is 3 translation and 3 rotation. So if there is only 1 degree of freedom, that means only 1 rotation or 1 translation is possible. So the other 5 motions are arrested. That is why 5 into P1. Okay. So similarly, if there is a kinematic pair with 2 degree of freedom, okay, then the other 4 motions are arrested. That is why it is 4 into P2. Similarly, P3 is number of kinematic pairs with 3 degree of freedom. Okay, so if there is a kinematic pair with 3 degree of freedom, the other 3 motions are arrested. So if there is 2 such kinematic pairs, two kinematic pairs are having 3 degree of freedom, then 3 into 2, 6 constraints will be there. Okay, so and P4 represents number of kinematic pairs with 4 degree of freedom. So the other 2 motions will be arrested. Similarly, P5 represents number of kinematic pairs with 5 degree of freedom, and 1 motion of that kinematic pair will be arrested. That is why 1 into P5. So these terms actually represents number of constrained motions. So total degree of freedom minus number of constrained motion gives the actual degree of freedom of this mechanism. Gribler's criterion is a reduced form of this equation. Actually, Gribler's criterion is used for finding out degree of freedom of planar mechanism. The first equation which I have shown is actually about degree of freedom of a spatial mechanism. We are considering 3 mutually perpendicular axes, but in case of planar motion, we need to consider only 2 perpendicular axes, that is x and y axis. Okay, that is the mechanism is having only a planar motion, that is the links are moving only in one plane. Okay, in that case, for a free link in a link which is moving in a plane, a free link which is moving in a plane have 3 motions, that is one along x direction, one along y direction, and one rotation, that is about z axis. Okay, so a link will have 3 degree of freedom for a planar case. Okay, in a spatial case, we know that it has 6 degrees of freedom about the 3 mutually perpendicular axes. Here we have only 2 mutually perpendicular axes, and so we can have only 3 motions in maximum. Okay, that is why our equation is reduced as 3 into n minus 1 instead of 6 into n minus 1. It is written here as 3 into n minus 1. N minus 1, as in the previous equation, I told you that n minus 1 is the number of movable links. So if there are 3 movable links, one is fixed. Okay, if there are 3 movable links, then total degree of freedom for considering 3 motion for each link is 3 into 3. Okay, that is 9 degree of freedom will be there for in total for each links considering 3 motion in a plane. Okay, minus 2p1 and minus 1p2. 2p1 and 1p2 actually represents the number of constrained motion. We know that 3 motion is possible for a planar case. So the other terms, that is 2p1 and 1p2, there will not be 3 degree of freedom cases, 4 degree of freedom cases will not be there. That is why there is no terms like p3, p4 and p5. Okay, in this case there is no p3, p4 and p5 because we know that only maximum possible motion is 3 degree freedom. Okay, that is why p1 and p2 is there included in this equation. Now p3, p4 and p5. Okay, so p1 actually represents number of kinematic pair with single degree freedom. So if there is only single degree freedom, so in a planar case, the other 2 motion will be arrested. That is why it is 2 into p1. We know that in total there are 3 degree freedom, 1 along x-axis, 1 translation over y-axis, and 1 rotation about z-axis. Okay, so out of 3, 2 is arrested. That is what is shown here. If it is having, if it is a kinematic pair with single degree freedom, then out of 3, 2 is arrested. So 2 into p1. Similarly, p2 represents number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree of freedom. If there is a kinematic pair with 2 degree of freedom, then one of its motion is arrested in a planar motion case. Okay, in a planar motion case, we know that total degree of freedom possible for a link is 3, 2 translation, 1 rotation, that is 3. So if there is if there is a kinematic pair with 2 degree of freedom, then one motion will be arrested. That's why it is 1 into p2. So these are the terms using this equation. N is total number of links in a mechanism, n minus 1 is total number of movable links, Okay, we know that at least one link will be not at least one link. For a mechanism, one link is fixed. That is, one link is a rigid frame or a fixed link. P1 is number of kinematic pairs with 1 degree freedom. P2 is number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom. So this is Gribler's criterion for finding out degree of freedom for planar mechanism. Kurzbach criterion. This is actually a reduced form of the Gribler's criterion, because in most of the mechanisms, in planar mechanisms, kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom will not be there. Okay, in most of the cases. That is why Kurzbach have given a reduced form of the Gribler's criterion. That is, the last term is not there. There is 1 into P2. P2 actually represents number of kinematics pairs with 2 degree freedom. So this is only a reduced form of Gribler's criterion, which I have discussed in the previous slide. And these are some of the type of joints or kinematic pairs you may find in a planar or a spatial mechanism, most of the mechanisms. And these are the degrees of freedom for these mechanisms and the nature of motion. Hinge, you know, if is a hinge present in a mechanism, then for a planar motion case, then it will have only 1 degree freedom, 1 rotation is possible for that hinge. And that is nature of motion is considered as a turning motion. If there is a slider and we consider it as a planar motion case, then if this is a pure sliding case, then there will be only 1 translation motion, that is 1 degree of freedom is possible for that case. For a cam, for a gear, ball bearing, in all these cases, if it is a pure rolling, then degree of freedom is 1. If there is a chance that it can slide due to the lack of friction, in that case then there is a 2 degree freedom. That is, due to lack of friction, it may sometimes slide instead of turning. So both turning and rolling or turning and sliding is possible. Okay, so 2 degree freedom in that case. And a pure rolling case, pure rolling contact, they have pure rolling motion, no sliding is there. So in that case we can say it has a 1 degree freedom motion. Spheric we have discussed in the previous slide. Spheric has 3 rotation about 3 mutually perpendicular axes. If you consider a spatial motion, then spheric has 3 degree of freedom about 3 mutually perpendicular axes. And translation about these axes is 0. So there is no translation about all the 3 mutually perpendicular axes. So 3 rotations possible for a spheric pair, and so it is written here as 3 degree freedom. And that is actually a spatial mechanism, not a planar mechanism. Not a mechanism, a kinematic pair. Spheric can be considered as a spatial kinematic pair, not a planar kinematic pair. So now we will use Gribler's criterion for finding degree of freedom for some of the planar mechanisms. This is actually representing a line diagram of a slider crank mechanism. Slider crank mechanism is used in IC engines, in reciprocating compressor, reciprocating pumps. Okay, in case of an IC engine, the link 1 represents the crank, link 2 represents the connecting rod, 3 represents the piston, and the fixed link, that is 4, which is represented by hatch lines. You can see here two regions where you can find hatches. This is the link 4. This is also representing 4. So in an IC engine, link 4 actually represents the cylinder in which the piston is moving, and also the crankshaft on which the crank is rotating. So crankshaft and the cylinder is fixed in case of slider cam mechanism, which represents an IC engine. Similarly, this slider cam mechanism is also applicable in reciprocating compressor, reciprocating pumps. So those are the regions where this slider cam mechanism is applied. Now we will find out degree freedom of this slider cam mechanism using Gribler's criterion. We know that this is a planar mechanism. Motion of this link is restricted to one plane. Okay, let's say this is the plane, that is the screen is our plane. Now we will find out how many links are there. You can see that 4 links are there. Out of this, 1 link is fixed. That is, the 4th link is fixed. 4 actually represents the piston or a crankshaft in case of an IC engine. So 4th link is fixed. So now total number of movable link is n-1, which is equal to 3. Okay, which is equal to 3. N is total number of links, and n-1 is total number of movable links, which is equal to 3. Now we will find out how many kinematic pairs are there with a single degree of freedom and how many kinematic pairs are there with 2 degree of freedom. So first kinematic pair, that is 3 and 4. 3 and 4 forms a sliding pair. We know that 3 is a piston in case of an IC engine, and 3 is sliding over the surface of the cylinder. Okay, so 4 is that surface on which the cylinder is sliding. So 3 and 4 forms a sliding pair, and in this case, this kinematic pair has only 1 degree of freedom. Okay, 1 degree of freedom. That is the sliding motion along one axis. Okay, this is horizontal axis. One sliding motion is possible. So this is the case. This is the kinematic pair with a single degree of freedom. Now let's check what is the case for next kinematic pair, that is 3 and 2. So what about 3 and 2? 3 and 2 forms a kinematic pair, in which 2 is the connecting rod and 3 is the piston for an IC engine. And we can say that this 3 is actually hinged with respect to 2. Okay, that is 3 and 2 are connected with help of a hinge, not a hinge, with help of pin. Okay, we can see it is a pin. That pin is called gudgeon pin. In case of IC engine, that pin is called gudgeon pin. Okay, so 3 and 2 is connected with help of a pin, and we can have a small tilting motion or a angular motion for piston 3 about the connecting rod. Okay, if I am fixing the connecting rod, I can tilt the piston. A small angular motion is possible for the piston 3 about the connecting rod 2. Or if you are fixing the piston, I can tilt the link 2, that is a connecting rod, by it will have a small angular motion. That link 2 will have a small angular motion with respect to link 3. If I am fixing link 3. So both these links have only 1 degree freedom, that is one angular motion, one rotation, or one angular motion. That is why this pair is also considered as a turning pair. Okay, turning pair, and or it is otherwise called revolute. Okay, turning pairs are otherwise called revolute. So 1 degree freedom, that degree freedom is one rotation or a small angular motion. So this is also a kinematic pair with single degree freedom. Now let's check the other kinematic pair, 2 and 1. What about 2? 2 is a connecting rod and 1 is a crank. How it is connected in IC engine? In IC engine, both these pairs are connected by the help of a pin which is called a crank pin. And 2 can have a rotation about 1 if 1 is fixed, and if 2 is fixed, then 1 can have a rotation about 2. Okay, both of these are connected with a pin called crank pin. So this is the case for another revolute pair or a turning pair. Okay, this is another revolute pair or a turning pair. So 1, 2 also forms a kinematic pair called revolute or a turning pair, and it has 1 degree of freedom. Now let's check other kinematic pair, 1 and 4. 4, I told you, in a IC engine, 4 is actually representing the crankshaft. Okay, 4 is actually representing the crankshaft. So in this case it is a fixed link. 1 and 4 is the fixed link. So crank 1 can rotate about 4. Okay, crank 1 can rotate about 4. So this is also another example for revolute or a turning pair, and this has single degree freedom. So there are 4 kinematic pairs, that is 3 4, 3 2, 2 1, 1 4. 4 kinematic pairs in this mechanism, and all these 4 kinematic pairs are single degree freedom. Okay, all these kinematic pairs have single degree freedom. There is no kinematic pair with 2 degree freedom in this mechanism. So P1 is number of kinematic pairs with single degree freedom, that is 4. P2 is number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom, that will be 0. Substituting that in Gribler's criterion, you will get value as 1. So 3 into n minus 1 is 3, minus 2 P1, 2 into 4, 8, minus 1 P2, P2 is 0. So 9 minus 8, it is equal to 1. So this slider mechanism has 1 degree of freedom. Now let's take another example. This is another mechanism. It has 6 links. You can see here. Link 1 is actually the fixed link in this mechanism. All of these link 1 represents a hinge. Okay, so link 1 actually is a hinge and is a fixed link. And you can see other links are movable links. So total number of links in this mechanism is 6. Number of movable links is n minus 1, which is equal to 5. Okay, so link 1 is considered as a fixed link, and others are movable. So total number of movable links is 6 minus 1, which is equal to 5. Now we'll check how many kinematic pairs are this mechanism and what is the degree freedom of these kinematic pairs. So first kinematic pair is 1 and 2. 1 is, we know that it is a fixed link, 2 is the binary link. So 1 and 2 forms a revolute. We can say that about that hinge 1, 2 can rotate. So it is actually considered as a turning pair or a revolute. So 1 degree freedom. Next is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 also has also a turning pair, because 2 and 3 is connected with a pin. You can see the connection there, that is connected with a pin. And if you are fixing 2, 3 can be rotated. If we are fixing 3, 2 can be rotated about 3. Okay, so both these links have rotation motion, that is considered as a turning pair or a revolute. So this is also a kinematic pair with single degree of freedom. Now next kinematic pair, 3 and 4. Here link 3 is binary link, link 4 is Turner link. We can see that link 4 can be connected to another 3 links. Okay, and the 3 revolute and forms a revolute pair. Okay, so link 4 can be connected to another 3 links, and that forms a revolute pair or a turning pair. So that's why link 4 is considered as a Turner link. So see, if I am fixing link 3, 4 can be rotated. If you are fixing link 4, 3 can be rotated. So that is the case of this kinematic pair, and it is also considered as a ternary. It is also considered as a turning pair or a revolute. So 3, 4 is considered as a turning pair or a revolute, and it has single degree freedom. Now let's check next kinematic pair, 1 and 4. Okay, 1 and 4. What about 1 and 4? We know that 1 is a fixed link. About 1, 4 can be rotated. Okay, link 4 can be rotated. This 4 can be rotated about 1. So that is also considered as a turning pair, having single degree of freedom. Next kinematic pair, 4 and 5. We can see this 4 and 5 is connected with a pin. Here there is a pin. So if 4 is fixed, 5 can be rotated. If 5 is fixed, 4 can be rotated. So this is how this kinematic pair have relative motion, and they have a rotation motion as the relative motion, and they are considered as a single degree freedom kinematic pair. And this is also named as a revolute pair or a turning pair. What about 5 and 6? 5 and 6 connected with a pin, you can see here, and 5 can be rotated about 6, and 6 can be also rotated about 5. So one motion is possible, that is 1 degree freedom, that is one rotation. Next one, 1 and 6, this is also another revolute or a turning pair, in which about 1, 6 can be rotated. Okay, 6 can be rotated about the hinge 1. So this is also a kinematic pair with single degree freedom. So P1, that is number of kinematic pairs with single degree freedom, is 7. You can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 7 kinematic pairs are there in this mechanism with single degree freedom. Is there any kinematic pair with 2 degree freedom? No. So it is equal to 0. Number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom, P2 is equal to 0. So according to Gerber's criterion, substituting all those values, we will get the value as 1. 3 into n minus 1 is 5, 3 5 is 15, minus 2 into P1 is 7. So 2 into 7, 14. 15 minus 14 is equal to 1. So this mechanism is also having 1 degree of freedom. Now let's check the last case. You can see here, this is also a slider, not a slider kind of mechanism. This is also a mechanism in which the fourth link is not a slider, it is actually a roller. The roller 4 is moving over the surface 1. Okay, now let's check all the kinematic pairs in this mechanism. You know that this also has 4 links. You can see link 1 is fixed link. So the other 3 links are the movable links. So n minus 1 equal to 3. Okay, number of movable links, n minus 1 equal to 3. Okay, now we will see the kinematic pairs above. First kinematic pair, that is 1 and 2. 1 and 2, that forms the first kinematic pair. 1 and 2 is actually connected with a hinge here. You can see a hinge here. I have not drawn a hinge here, but there is a hinge or a pin here. So about the link 1 and 2 is connected with a pin, and 2 can be rotated about 1. That forms a turning pair or a revolute that is having a single degree freedom. And what about 2 and 3? You can see here, this is the connection point. Here there is a pin. So about 3, 2 can be rotated. About 2, 3 can be rotated. And so they forms a revolute pair or a turning pair, and they have single degree freedom. Now what about 3 and 4? 3 is a link, binary link, and 4 is actually a roller which is connected to 3 at this point, and here there will be a hinge, not a hinge, pin. Okay, there will be a pin, as in the case of a connecting rod and a piston. There is a pin called Gudgeon pin. Similar pin will be there here, where we connect this roller to this link 3. Okay, we will connect this roller to this link 3. So this roller can rotate about that pin. Okay, so or if you are fixing that roller, this 3 can rotate about that roller. Okay, so both 3 and 4 is considered as a revolute pair or a turning pair. Okay, revolute pair or a turning pair, and they have single degree freedom, and that motion is the rotation motion. Okay, now what about 1 and 4? 1 is actually the fixed link, and 4 is the roller. The roller is rolling over the fixed link 1. Okay, this is considered as a rolling pair, not a turning pair. Okay, actually 4 has rotation motion about the surface of 1, but it is considered as a rolling pair, not a turning pair. But here you can see here in the question it is given here this has slipping also. That is, the roller 4 is not having a pure rolling on the surface 1. It is sometimes undergoing slipping also. So that pair has 2 degree freedom. That is, the roller 4 has both rolling motion, that is rotation motion, and also a translation when slipping happens. So 4 and 1 is considered as a kinematic pair with 2 degree of freedom. That is, it has slipping and also a rolling. So out of these 4 kinematic pairs, 3 of them have 1 degree freedom, and the last one, 1 and 4, has the 2 degree freedom. So here P1 is equal to 3. That is, number of kinematic pairs with single degree freedom is 3. That is, link 1 2 forms a kinematic pair with single degree freedom. Link 2 3 forms kinematic pair with single degree freedom. Link 3 4 forms kinematic pair with single degree freedom. So 3 kinematic pairs with single degree freedom. 1, 2 and 3. And the last kinematic pair, that is 1 and 4, forms the kinematic pair with 2 degree freedom. So P2, number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom, is equal to 1. So substitute this in our equation, Gribler's criterion. 3 into n minus 1 is 3, 3 is 9, minus 2 into number of kinematic pairs with single degree freedom, that is 3, 2 into 3 is 6, minus 1 into number of kinematic pairs with 2 degree freedom, that is 1, value is 1, P2 is 1, so 1 into 1. So in total, we will get 2 as the degree of freedom for this mechanism. So this mechanism will have 2 degree of freedom. Thank you. That's all about degree of freedom for planar mechanisms. And in the next session, we'll discuss about some of the planar mechanisms which is usually found in many machines. And we will discuss about the inversions of such mechanisms also in the coming sessions. So thank you all.